Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our Veterans Day program here at Northeast Community College. My name is Rick McAuliffe. I am the president of the Northeast Community College Student Veteran Organization. I have served in 4 combat tours to Iraq and Afghanistan in my 14 years of service in the United States Army. The SVO began in the fall of 2014. Our charter was formed for 3 reasons: to develop leadership and service, cultivate fellowship, and promote active citizenship and volunteerism by conducting special projects that meet our community's needs. This program is the first major event implemented by the SVO. Here is an overview of our program this morning. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Grant Roskins. Next, we will have a video for you to watch by Josh Ottis, following with our own speaker, Mike Curtis, ending with Casey Markvicka with closing statement. Mike Curtis is a first-year student at Northeast Community College, majoring in pre-professional physical therapy. Mike entered the United States Marine Corps in June of 2001 and served as a field artillery controlman with a secondary billet in artillery survey. Lance Corporal Mike Curtis was medically retired in December of 2004. Prior to enlisting in the Marines, Mike graduated from Clearwater High School. Currently, Mike and his wife, Crystal, reside in Norfolk with their 2 daughters, Mackenzie, age 11, and Sophia, age 7. In addition to his full-time status as student, husband, and father, Mike is also employed full-time with Farner Company. Please welcome Grant Roskins.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. My name is Grant Roskins. I am the current secretary of the Student Veterans Organization. I served about 10 years with the United States Marine Corps, did 3 deployments as an 0311. For a lot of people, you're like, what's that mean? Basically, I was the guy that went in, kicked indoors, and did all the fun stuff that you see on CNN and all this stuff, and you're like, oh my God, I'd never want to do that. At this time, I would like to ask all the SVO members to come to the front of the theater for the pledge. Then we would like to invite you all to stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You all may be seated. Now we're going to show you guys a short video created by Joshua Ottis. Josh served active duty with the United States Army from 2009 to 2012. He was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky with the 101st and in Afghanistan from 2010 to 2011. He's currently a full-time student at Northeast Community College pursuing an Associate of Applied Science degree in Media Arts. The film that you are about to see fulfills requirements for his film and videography and post-production classes.
We got mortared every day. Mortared, rocket attacks, whatever you want to call them, every day. usually around nighttime, just right when it was starting to get dark.
I moved on to 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. 2-7 was an infantry battalion, so really just went wherever they sent us, did our job.
Flying around in mountains. I've never been that cold in my whole entire life. I don't ever want to be that cold again.
Went to Iraq in 2003, got over there, we're supposed to be there for 6 months, was notified 5.5 months into it that we're staying another 6 months.
They didn't tell us anything. They stuck me on the USS Baton. They said, pack your gear, we're loading up the guns, be at the beach at 0530, ready to go.
Back to the civilian life, it was definitely different. You didn't have a set schedule every day. You didn't have guaranteed paycheck on the 1st and 15th. You know exactly how much you're going to get. You have to worry about things like health insurance, rent, groceries, things that were taken care of when you're on active duty.
It's hard leaving my guys. You know, that was the hard part. That sucked. You know, because I put in a lot of time helping train them, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to be there with them. You know, that was kind of crappy, but you know, you keep in touch with them, you know what's going on, and it makes it a little easier.
Civilian life, I did find I had a lot of time on my hands. I did a lot of reading, yard work, and it just wasn't enough. So then that's why I decided to go back to college, and I'm taking some art classes and graphic designs, and I find I can draw something other than stick people.
It's really, really hard because you're coming from a very strict and structured environment to people doing whatever they want, and it's been a really, really tough adjustment. But generally the students here that I've met have been really good. There are some phenomenal students here.
You have that day-to-day structure. You know where you're supposed to be at 6 o'clock. You know where you're supposed to be at noon. You know what time you're getting off that day. Granted, everything goes well. But and then just to be thrown back into the real world again, and not have that structure anymore, you gotta kind of make it up as you go.
It's a little different, civilian life, the way you talk to people, the way, I guess just the way you treat other people. Some of it can be so disrespectful and rude.
To try and adjust to where you have to deal with everyday civilians who don't have a clue what you're talking about, it makes it a little more difficult. But it's been an adventure and come through it so far, so all is good.
I joined the Student Veterans Organization because I knew that there would be people like me there, people that have my similar experiences at the very least.
If I'm going to be a part of this, I need to really make an attempt to be there and be accountable to other people and see what I can do to help.
And I wanted to be part of it, I don't know, that brotherhood again, I guess, because that's what we are. We give each other a hard time and all that, but in the end, we all had to go through all the stuff that the military throws at you.
It's easy to talk to other veterans because you have the same experiences. You can reminisce about the good times, the bad times, and you can talk about the bad times and they understand. You don't have to sit there and go into overly detail about what happened.
Unless you've been in the military, there's no way to make them understand.
Whereas talking to a normal college student, you try and bring something up, they're like, huh? They look at you funny, and it's like, never mind, you know.
However, it seems like, once we all get together, it's always a good time, laughing and joking, and it makes things go by pretty fast, and our meetings always end up going long because of it. But we all enjoy being there.
Honestly, the guys in the SVO are really great. They're awesome. So
It's going to help us in so many ways having the SVO. It looks good on your resume to be a member. If you can become an officer or something, that helps.
We have started to grow from what we were last year. Last year we had just a handful of people, and that was about it. This year we have, I'd say, probably double what we had last year.
I'd like to see all the veterans here on post join at the very minimum. And, with the more people we have, the more things we can accomplish, the more funds we can raise up to accomplish our mission end state. And we can generally have a lot more good time.
All right. Great job, Josh. Another round of applause, please. That was fantastic. He made us look so good, which is very hard to do. Oh, Dylan, trying to cook me up here, buddy? Just a little bit? Figure a Navy guy always have to get a Marine somehow. On this Veterans Day, let us remember the service of our veterans, and let it renew our national promise to fulfill our sacred obligations to our veterans and their families who have sacrificed so much so we can live free. It's often forgotten that it's not just a veteran that serves. So today, in this forum, I would like to say thank you to the husbands, wives, and children who allow their family members to serve their country freely. You hear the horror stories as a service member, people coming home to nothing when they've left. To stick around and be a loving husband, wife, is hard to do, and we understand as service members that that is truly the hardest job in the United States military. I was an active duty Marine and arguably the best job of my life. The path to become the Marine was not an easy one to go down. When I went to boot camp, country itself had been gripped in peril. I signed my actual contract on July 2001. A couple months after that day, the most tragic day in U.S. history happened. That day was September 11th, and 4 planes would shape our country forever. I remember watching everything unfold in my mother's house on the television. The landscape of our nation had changed, and so had my attitude about my future. I looked at my mother, and I could see the look of disbelief on her face. I knew that my going to the Marines was more now an even real and true situation that she had to deal with, and it was going to be the hardest thing for her, I think, to that point, that her little boy was going to have to do something that I volunteered to do. I didn't have to do. I knew very soon at that point that I was going to be part of a solution. I was scared and honored to join the ranks of not just the United States Marine Corps, but the service members that came before me and that are coming after me. Once I joined the ranks of the Marine Corps and then earned the right to walk among them all, including service members of our country, did I realize what it meant to be a patriot. The sense of duty that I know all veterans have felt and still feel today is overwhelming when you see the faces of the people in this country that we serve. At the end of the day, all veterans serve for their fellow service members and the people at home. We give each other a hard time, as you could see in the video, some. But at the end of the day, we all know why we're here. Because we can, because we did, and because we wanted to. When I was a young Marine, I was on a training op, and this is going to sound like a bad joke here at the beginning, so stay with me. It was a Marine battalion on an Army base training the Air Force, right? That sounds like a three guys walking to the bar, right? But we were training Marines and we were training Air Force in conjunction with each other, and we were giving the Air Force guys a super hard time. I was an artilleryman, so we were teaching them how to call in fire onto tanks and trucks and things like that. And we were riding them and calling them all the names. You guys have seen the movies. You know kind of the way we talk to each other. And I remember I was a young tech sergeant, and he heard us talking because we just kept riding them and telling them, you know, you guys get to go back onto the base, get hot meals and a shower, sleep in a hotel. We have to sleep out here on the ground. That ain't right, you know. And we're sitting there, and as much of a hard time as we gave them for 3 days, one night on the last day we were training them, they showed up probably about 10 o'clock at night. And we were sitting in the back of our Humvee playing cards. And we hear a knock on the back of the Humvee, and we open it up, and who the heck is bothering us right now? And it was the Air Force guys. They knew that we couldn't go in to the base and get anything. So they came back out. They brought us, you know, some Gatorade, because you can only drink so much water, believe me. And they brought us, you know, some of the tobacco that some of the guys have been talking about they were running low on. Hey, it's the truth. And, you know, some stuff like that. It was the little things. It wasn't anything spectacular, but, you know, they said, you know, you guys worked your butts off. You trained us. We really appreciate it. And it was the little things. So, you know, it was kind of like, man, I felt kind of bad, you know. We'd been riding these guys for 3 days, and now they do it. It's like, well, yeah. So we just, we said thank you, you know, but we knew it meant more than that. We knew it was something more. Veterans Day is a day for veterans to remember why they joined. They fought and they sacrificed. It's not because the service member is an extraordinary person. It's because they answered the call. Then they are taught a skill, and the extraordinary part is what you do with it. Just like a policeman or a firefighter, it's something you have in you that takes you beyond your limits. And I think that's true in everything you do, and it's very rare that someone gets to see that firsthand. And even the stories of people that have seen it in the battlefield or in your everyday lives are kind of rare when you think about it. And I was honored to, in boot camp of all places, see the sheer will and determination that it takes for someone to have that warrior spirit and that hero inside them. I watched a guy, let me precipice, in the Marine Corps we have what they call the crucible, last 3 days of basic training. And it's meant to push you beyond your limits. Limited food, limited sleep. You're constantly on the move, walking from place to place. You don't even know what a vehicle is at that point. And I watched a guy walk up a valley on the very last day in the mountains of California, limping and couldn't hardly move anymore, but he just kept putting one foot in front of the other. He was a Russian immigrant. And we got to what we call the Reaper, which is the last hill that you have to climb before graduation. When you reach the top, that's when you become a Marine. You've earned the title. This guy climbed this hillside, one foot in front of the other, constantly moving, pain on his face. We got to the top, and they do a check. The corpsmen come by and they check you, check your feet, make sure that you're not going to keel over and die at the end. And he couldn't take off his boot, and we're like, what is, I looked at him, what's wrong with you? And the corpsman came over and cut his boot off, and his ankle had been broken for about a day and a half. And I looked at him and I asked him, why did you even continue? Are you crazy? You know, you end up in a hospital. And he said, I moved to this country with my family and became a citizen. He goes, if I quit now, what's going to happen on the battlefield when the people at home and my fellow Marines need me? He goes, I'm not going to quit. That's a true warrior spirit and what it takes to be a hero. It's not something that can be learned or taught. It's something that's in you. And it's a beautiful thing when you get to see it firsthand. When the wolves are at the gate, it takes a sheepdog to hold them back. And that is the call that was answered. Ronald Reagan said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like to be in the United States where men were free. This is what makes our country strong. It's our unwavering support for our country and its military. It's the generation of people always willing to stand and fight the enemies at our gate that make our country what it is today. For a service member returning home to the real world, as we like to put it, life has changed. Service never really ends. It just takes on a new form. It's a new job, a new way of seeing life day to day. The change may be harder than the actual military service. So today, when you think of veteran, please remember to also take a second to talk to them. Hear a story and give a vet a smile. Sometimes it's all they need to get through a tough day. A willing ear is as important as a thank you or a free meal. The SVO is putting this on today because we recognize that our community is always standing behind us. And we want to thank you for doing that. We are trying to do a lot of different things in the community to give back and be part of as many community functions as possible. One of which is something that we hold near and dear, because 22 veterans a day lose their fight to the wounds that you do not see. These are the things that we ask you to remember. That being there for us, being there for them, is bigger than all of us. Franklin Roosevelt said, remember always that all of us, and you, and I especially, are descendant from immigrants and revolutionists. Today we thank and shake the hands of our nation's finest, let's remember all that came before. When you look at our nation's flag, I hope you see the faces of the men and women whose sacrifices through time have been sewn into the fabric of our great nation. Our country was founded because of a group of men wanted to stand alone and build a nation. That has always been at the root of our country, and today I see that in our roots. I see that in our roots as strong as ever. If you could bear with me for one more minute, I'd like to do something that may be long overdue for this presentation. If I could get all the veterans and current service members to please stand. Thank you very much. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why we're here today. The flesh and blood, the men and women that stood at one point in their life and took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That wrote a blank check to the people of the United States of America and were always willing to cash it. We need to remember that these patriots and the ones that'll follow are the reason that our colors will never run. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Casey Mark Vicka, and I served about 11 years in the Army, where I ended up getting injured and then medically retired from. I am currently the Vice President of the Student Veterans Organization, and at this time, I would like to ask the SVO members to come to the front to remove the uniforms from the stage. And I would also like another round of applause for Mike for that wonderful speech. Mike today did a great job of giving his speech. Thank you, Mike. The Student Veterans Organization has set up a military display in the College Welcome Center. If you have not seen the display, I would encourage you to stop by the College Welcome Center after the program. The display includes uniforms worn by our SVO members, as well as some of our military gear and memorabilia. Free will donations to the SVO may be placed in the combat boots located in the College Welcome Center Archarium or the Cox Activity Center in the foyer, right in the back next to the map. If you were not able to see the virtual wall of honor on your entry into the auditorium here, it lasts about 7 minutes, and we would invite you to stay seated, and it will play again. And again, on behalf of Northeast Community College Student Veterans Organization, I want to thank you for coming today, and I hope you have a great Veterans Day.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. But I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle flies. It's a big old land with countless dreams, and happiness ain't out of reach. Hard work pays off the way it should. Yeah, I've seen enough to know that we've got it good, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. There's a lady that stands in a harbor for what we believe, and there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free. I pledge allegiance to this flag, and if that bothers you, well, that's too bad. But if you got pride and you're proud you do, hey, we could use some more like me and you, where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly. the only place on earth, but it's the only place that I prefer to love my wife and raise my kids, hey, the same way that my daddy did. With the stars and stripes and the eagle